decide on something that happened 2,000 years ago with people that don't have the same information about God and about the scriptures as we do now. And we tend to judge others on the basis of what we know now and how much we know. If we'll take any of the disciples, I mean, when you take a PhD in theology today, the guy that has a PhD in theology probably knows more about theological definitions and history of the church and different biblical interpretations than apostles knew at that day. I mean, some of them couldn't even write or read. They have to memorize scriptures from oral tradition.
So then, when the high priests or Pharisees, how did they deal with the whole Zechariah passage about the king will come, the Messiah will come riding on a donkey?
You know, not all the synagogues had the same number of
So it was still split
rows
up.
of books. Yeah, they were all split between different synagogues, and sometimes they interchanged books just so that they can get a chance to read another scroll. And plus, they followed liturgical readings, where basically scriptures were taken in paragraphs out of the scroll, and then they had Talmud, which is of course a later time, where commentary was consuming more space, interpretation or explanation that was approved by rabbis, rather than just reading the scrolls. So it's very hard to distinguish why something happened, how something happened. For the Jewish person of that age, Pharisee was the most dedicated, most educated, most progressive, and diligent religious leader of the nation. That's why it was so hard for Jesus to convince people that Pharisees were not who they wanted people to think they are. In fact, they were trying to do everything outwardly, but on the inside, they were not even obeying God's law.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. I mean,
we probably have more by way of historical evidence now than they did then in some respects, and the world doesn't believe now. It's just establishes within us the human nature, and it doesn't matter what faith or what belief we have.
and even now in our day and age, you can have Pharisees in your own denomination, in your own church. I don't know about Sadducees. Sadducees are usually people that don't believe in miracles or anything supernatural, so you probably wouldn't have those. But Sadducees are usually politicians, the ones that buy and sell. Zealots are the I am proud to be American type people, which is not bad, but there's some that go to the extreme.
Preterists would come close, though, to the Sadducee viewpoint in a sense. The preterists, that
Oh,
all,
yeah.
all that is there has already occurred, and it
Yeah.
wasn't prophetic.
Yeah.
So in a matter of speaking, I mean, they might say that there are miracles. I mean, it wouldn't quite go that far, but it translates pretty close.
Essenes of the day would be probably monastic orders, where asceticism is practiced, and people are basically denying all kinds of good things that are available. Amish are some of the forms of Essenes type of community, where they are segregated from the rest of the world. They're not using modern technological advances. They're working in a close community. They go to church together. They even intermarry within the same village and so on, so they don't have to go outside of the community.
That's why they have weird genetic disorders now.
Yeah. Brethren Mennonites are similar, or Mennonites. In fact, they live close with Amish communities. Pennsylvania area and so on, Pennsylvania Dutch.
Killing themselves off.
But you can see parallels in different movements up until today. So it's interesting how they never changed their mentality. In fact, more and more new people adopt some of the very old ways, and they don't even realize that. They're just going in regress as opposed to in progress. If we look at the Christian Christianity brought into the world numerous people who were great at arts, sciences. Christianity was basically a center of education, center of progress, center of culture. Of course, lately it became, useless because it doesn't produce anymore, or it doesn't produce in those numbers of these individuals, or doesn't impact society in such a way as it used to do in the past. Even the Catholic Church, if we look at the Catholic Church, it was kind of active in that realm. That's why different scientists were trying to get approval of Catholic Church of different scientific ideas before they could become public, because Church was controlling all the publishings. So if the idea didn't sound like it was biblically correct, you could end up on the stake, have a little Angus party. I'm saying that because Roland had an Angus burger.
It was good.
He's just regurgitating it.
I haven't had an Angus burrito yet.
All right, the second part of our discussion is the cohortative. The cohortative occurs only in the first person, singular and plural. It is constructed by adding ba, bet, hamet, he, to a first person form of the imperfect. Okay? The final ba is a diagnostic indicator of the cohortative conjugation. Let's see if we got the examples. And I think that's reversed as well, right? Is it?
Where are we in the book?
We are on page 214. I just skipped all those different changes in
No,
spelling.
it's correct.
No, that's,
Well,
Is
your,
that correct?
your thing is correct.
Oh, okay, yeah.
so wait,
By the, I'm sorry, there's no ba, there's just comments hey. My computer just added the bait because it doesn't like the, have vowel sounds without anything. Okay, so it's actually comments hey. Sorry, in the previous explanation it's also comments hey. I can't force my program because when I copy it actually from PDF files, and I guess maybe in the copying process something gets lost. It's the newest edition of the PDF, but maybe I should just type it in. So it's ectol plus comments hey would be ektela, right? The first schwa is silent. Ektela or ektela. And aleph with segol is a sign of what person? First person common singular. Yeah, that's correct. So same thing. Niktol, which is a what kind of a person? Niktol. And manu and
oh yeah, it's first plural.
first common plural, that's right. Niktol plus comments hey will be niktela, right? So if we'll see Eshmira Torateha. Okay, that's an example. May I observe your law, or let me observe your law. These are two ways of translating cohortative. Okay, so it's only first person, either plural or singular, and you can translate it whether either with may or let. Let me do, or may I do this. Okay, it's also pretty straightforward, so there's no something different. Kaljusif, third part of our discussion tonight. The Jusif conjugation occurs primarily with a third person, singular and plural. With strong verbs, the form of the Jusif is the same as its corresponding imperfect form. gotta remember. And Joseph is on page 215, paragraph 18.14. Call Joseph. For example, Yiktov may be translated as either he will write or let him write. There is virtually no difference between imperfect and Joseph. Probably only context will tell us whether one. Yes.
Does that, should I not assume that implies kind of a weakness there? It's still just as strong, it's just that we have to determine based on the context, right? In other words, is
You see,
let him write versus he will write, I mean, they're two completely different.
it's just a comparison between the imperfect and Joseph. Remember our rule in the previous slide was what? With strong verbs, the form of the Joseph is the same as its corresponding imperfect form.
But they have a different.
Only with strong verbs. With weak verbs, it will differ.
Mhm.
So in that way, yes, context will be the determining factor. It's a weak distinction, but it will have a context. We'll work with that. The presence of the particle na will suggest the Joseph translation. So there's your sign. It might be a simple imperfect, but then when added, when na is added to the end of it, then you'll know that you have to translate it as Joseph and not just a simple imperfect. Is that clarifying it a little bit? So for example, if we'll get, let's see. Yiskarna Hamelech et Adonai. And those dashes are actually marquettes. Let the king remember Yahweh, or Adonai. 2 Samuel 14:11. So Yiskar, if you look at it, it's virtually imperfect, right? But then when you have na added at the end of it, then you know it's actually Joseph. Okay. And in most of these situations, they'll add that particle just to distinguish imperfect from the Joseph. Calcacordative and Joseph negation. Joseph and cohortative verbs are negated with al. This construction expresses a negative wish or a milder form of prohibition than that expressed by a law, plus the imperfect. All of the commandments in Decalogue are starting with al or law. What do you think? Law, the commandments in Decalogue. What is Decalogue? Ten Commandments.
That's a strong.
Are they starting with al or law? Okay, it's not just, you might not want to kill somebody. Or you might not want to steal. It's kind of not going to look good at, you know. Or you might not want to wish your neighbor's wife or something like that.
You might want
And
Not gonna
it-
sound.
really shouldn't.
That's how the al construction will sound like. While law will be do not kill, do not wish your neighbor's wife, do not steal. Well, actually, there's no commandment, do not steal. It says, do not wish your neighbors anything of your neighbors. Or love the Lord your God. There's no law particle in love the Lord your God. So, in a Decalogue, they all will start with law. I mean, the negative commandments will start with law, as opposed to once love the Lord. The particle na is sometimes attached to al.